students, as part of the catering management course, today we will be seeing about menu planning, purchasing and storage of foods for quantity food production. As you know, in any catering establishment, you will be purchasing food in bulk. But before we go to the purchasing of the foods, what do? Is we will first see what is a menu. Menu, how do you want to define a menu? Menu is nothing but a card which gives you the virtual list of all the dishes that is being served in any catering establishment. Next is menu pattern. Menu pattern is nothing but the items that are included in a menu card. But why is this menu card very much essential? Because the menu card is the one which describes what are all the items that are being given in any particular catering establishment. When you see the list, you will also know what are all the items that need to be purchased, and these menu plans usually will be dependent on the availability of the different types of seasonal foods, because as we know, during the season the cost of the food is less, and once the season is over, the cost of the particular food will increase. Best example happens to be that of the tomatoes. During rainy season, as you know, tomatoes cost you very less, but once a peak summer season comes, the same tomatoes we will be buying at a exorbitant prices. So these prices are what that define the profits of any food service establishment. But when you are considering the menu card, the factors that need to be considered include the age, occupation, nutritional factors and food preferences of the food service establishment in the particular regions. Like, what is this regional differentiation? Suppose you come to South India and you definitely want foods which are preferred in the South India, like idli, sambar, dosa. Although we will prefer to eat parathas, rotis, naans, but still the items we will consume them at a lesser frequency South Indian foods. The same happens when you go to the North India. So when you are establishing the food service establishment, it is very much essential that these factors have to be considered. And next is the type of food service establishment, the size of it, the amount that you have is also very much essential. But why are these food service establishments being so popular nowadays? Mainly they say is because the income has increased, first and foremost. Second thing is women have also started working and people want to go out and also try. And next thing is people also are traveling a lot and they want to taste the different types of foods that are available, because we would have heard this food is good. So that's how now pizzas, burgers also became part of our diets. Previously we were not eating all these foods, and these menu cards are the ones, or the menus describe the food service establishment. As you know, when you have gone to any food service establishment, or commonly referred to as the restaurants, you would have seen this restaurant is present from 1950s. So that is what the menu card tries to explain to you, that is from when this food service establishment is working, as well as what are its specialities. Like suppose you come to Hyderabad, you are drawn towards the Hyderabadi biryani. So that is the speciality of that particular regions you will be also knowing. And another thing that the menu card decides is the financial position of that establishment, the marketing strategies that need to be followed, as well as the catering procedures. Catering procedures is nothing but the type, that is it the buffet type or the waiter service, or such sorts of things also will be shown through it. And if the menu card is available, we will also know what are all the materials that need to be procured. Materials include the different types of foods. Suppose you have bagar baigan in your menu, and you definitely need to procure brinjals, and without brinjals it is not possible to prepare this bagar baigan. You can attract the customers by using good graphics, spaces, colors all in the menu card, and you can highlight your speciality of your particular restaurant, making the menu card to be very attractive. Also, you can make the menu card durable by covering it with a very attractive plastic sheet, or you can use cheap materials to keep on recycling your menu cards, because you don't want your menu card to be looking like your classroom timetable or a railway timetable which just gives you the information. It should draw your attention towards that particular menu card. And next thing is, what are the menu contents that should be there? The menu contents is, you will give all the list of items that are being served in your particular restaurant, as well as language also should be simple, that is language commonly understood by everyone. It should not have a very fancy terms to describe the particular dish in the menu card. Okay, next what we will do is, we will see what are the objectives of menu planning. Objectives of menu planning, as I said, is that you can buy the food materials which are required and prepare those items and keep them ready, because what are all the items listed in the menu cards, those raw materials have to be definitely procured and prepared, because once the customers have come, they would not like to wait for the food to be prepared, because usual time is around 30 minutes, and beyond 30 minutes if we will have to go, the customer will definitely get agitated and he may not want to visit your restaurant or your food service establishment again. Also, another thing is, in canteens commonly seen or cafeteria that are usually seen any institutions, the menu is fixed. On a particular day, particular type of menu is being served. But in a food service establishment like large restaurants or hotels, what do we do is, we get a variety of items. The menu cannot be fixed. And again, in a institutional canteen or cafeteria, the group is homogeneous, that is basically you will see students coming to that this thing. But whereas when you see for the restaurants or the hotels, it is usually a heterogeneous group, that is, as I said, different age groups, different sexes, all will be present, and with different financial status also will be there. So, it is very much essential that you need to consider all these things. As I said, the surrounding areas also are very much important. Like a KFC can be very successful in a metropolitan city like Hyderabad, but if we are going into the interior regions of Telangana and trying to establish KFC, it may not be as successful as it is in Hyderabad, mainly for the reason that people are not knowing about that food materials. The second most thing is, they may not have the financial conditions, also may not be feasible, and also cost of those food also can be high. So, these factors definitely have to be considered. And another important thing is, the food served should be wholesome and also it should be clean. Cleanliness is very much important, and if you serve wholesome and clean food, people will be willing to pay any amount of price. Next, coming to the functions of the menu. Functions of the menu is like, we'll be summarizing what all I have been telling you here. It is, the customer is first introduced to that particular food service establishment, and also then the kitchen staff are authorized to buy all the items that are present in the menu card. That is, preparing the shopping list becomes very much easy. And next, also you can follow certain purchasing procedures while you are buying these. And next is, supervision becomes easier, because you would have purchased those food items and you can allot your staff members the different food items which need to be prepared. And next is, calculation of the food cost also becomes easy, because you would have procured it at one time, and it becomes easier to be estimating the final cost of the food product, because final cost not just includes the cost of the items, but it includes the establishment charges and other recurring charges also that go into it. And next is guidelines for preparing a menu. What are the various guidelines that you need to be preparing? Because in a food service establishment, as you see, you have entrance, vegetable and fruit salads that are being served, soups and all. So based on that you need to be doing it. And also the speciality of that restaurant can be given every day, but to make it little more enthusiastic to the customers, different types of items can be included, which can be repeated in once in 8 to 10 days. Also another thing is, when you are serving the popular dishes, they have to be served in a manner that is exactly desired by the customers, and they have to be properly cooked and served. And new recipes can be introduced, but it should be limited, because all the clients that come to the food service establishment may not be wanting to try those new recipes. Another important aspect to reduce costs is the effective use of leftovers. Like, how do we use those leftovers? Suppose you have prepared kebabs and kebabs have been left out. The next day what can be done is, these kebabs can be used to prepare either chicken or mutton biryanis and served to the people. This is an effective way of using the leftovers. But one important aspect here is proper storage facilities should be available. Another important aspect is also, while you are preparing paneer, lot of whey will be produced. That whey can be used in the cheeses instead of discarding the whey. So these are some very effective ways of using the leftover foods. Next thing is, the experts also should be available with the food service establishment. Like, suppose you want to keep carved vegetables in salads. If the people who do the carving are not available and you put it in your menu, the establishment will be in trouble. And also amount that the people can be paying. Next thing is, we'll see about the food purchase. What are the food purchases that can be done? It is usually seen that larger establishments which have better storage facilities can purchase foods in bulk and store them properly. But for storing these food in bulk, you need to have proper storage facilities. Like, storerooms should be properly ventilated, aeration should be there, because you don't want your foods purchased in bulk to be spoiling, and spoiled foods cannot be used in the preparation of various items. And when you are purchasing these foods also, proper receipts also should be there, because you have to maintain the accounts in a very careful manner. So we'll see here. Next is the different methods in which the foods can be purchased. What is the common most method that we do is, we go to the market, we buy whatever we want. But is this common method possible for a large food service establishment? May not be possible. That is why different methods of purchasing of the foods have to be considered. But still, for smaller establishment, as I said, we can go to the market, they can select the particular items and come back. That is nothing but your open market buying, or also referred to as the informal method of buying. Here it is just that you go to the market, you bargain, you buy your vegetables, you come back, you cook in your establishment. But this may not be possible when you are considering the large food service establishment. So here is where you have to consider the formal buying. What is this formal buying? Formal buying is nothing but you will ask for bids. That is, you will ask the people to bid, and different firms will bid, saying that you will supply those respective items at this particular cost, and once the bids have come, they will be considered, and you will consider the least price quoted by those people, and they will be supplying them like for 1 year time or 2 years time, depending on the establishment's purchasing policy. And this is also referred to as competitive bidding purchase, because you will compete with others and then you will bid for those particular items to be supplied to the establishment. So this can be usually seen even for large hospitals, institutions, any other food service establishments where the number of people served is more. Next, another aspect is the negotiated buying. This is, again, you can call it as the informal method of bidding. Why is this called as the informal method? Is you will go negotiate the prices, like I will give this much price, and then you will try to buy from the suppliers. Here two types of contracts are there. One is FAOP, that is nothing but firm at opening price. What is this firm at opening price? That is, you will go to those particular firms, say I want this quantities and how much are you going to give me. If the production is more, they will give you at the price that you have negotiated. But if the production is lesser and costs have increased, you can redo the purchasing of the particular food products from them. That is firm at opening price. Whereas SAP is subject to approved price. Here what is there is, you can even reject after you have ordered for the particular bidding. Like even if you have bid for those particular items, if you feel that at the end of the season the price is not suitable for your establishment, you can definitely cancel it. And next, another thing is the wholesale buying. This is a very interesting type of buying. Why is this wholesale buying interesting? Is because you can purchase it at the beginning of the year. The stock will be present with the seller only. You can get the stock as and when you require it from the seller. But here most important factor that you should be remembering is you should maintain the records properly, because if records are not properly maintained, maybe the seller can give you wrong informations, which again can be a problem to the establishment. So these are some of the different ways in which the foods can be purchased. Next is the qualities of an effective food buyer. What are the qualities of an effective food buyer? Because it is a food service establishment, the buyer should not think that he can buy poor quality food materials and serve to the customers. That is the reason why we say that he has to have high moral and ethical values. Also, he should be loyal towards the institution that he is working to, hard working. He should be also very much patient. And another important aspect that the food buyer should have is he should identify the particular markets where he can get various purchases at a lower cost, because that will at the end of the day be beneficial to the food service establishment. And but when I say the cost should be less, he should not compromise on the food laws or standards that are laid down. Like each product should have the particular things, like oils and spices, as we say, will have the egg mark. Then nowadays on all food products we will be seeing the FSSAI label, because FSSAI has become mandatory for most of the foods that are being sold in India. Another aspect is the responsibilities of the food buyer. What are the responsibilities? Like once he has purchased the different food items, a stock should be maintained properly. That is, record keeping is very much essential. Also, perishable foods should be used immediately without any delay. And because you have stock, it is also essential that the fresh stock should not be used. It is the stock that has been purchased previously should be used first, and the fresh stock should be used at a later date. So for this, it is usually ideal that the food buyer can label those on the dates when he has purchased these particular items. And also the selection of source of supply. That is, you can go for markets which supply you with good quality products. And next is the transfer of those items present in the stores to the sellers. That is, sellers are present nearer to these kitchens, hence it will become easier for the people to be using it. Another aspect that we will now see is production cost. Usually the production cost increases if there is a loss, mainly due to the spoilage of the foods or mainly due to the transportation costs. If spoilage of the foods is there, what happens is you will end up buying more food, as a result of which again the cost is increasing and the profits will automatically decrease. And next is the season. As I said, during the season you get the cost of the food products at a lower cost, the demand for that particular items. As I said, you come to Hyderabad and you will demand a Hyderabadi biryani, but you go to Delhi and again there also you can buy a Hyderabadi biryani, but still there will be a change in the taste. And because Hyderabadi biryani is quite popular, it does not necessitate that the people in Delhi also should be preferring to eat it. And next, another thing is to draw the customers, we will advertise. Advertisement also again is a very important aspect and which is also very costly. This advertisement costs also have to be included in the food prices if you are trying to get some profits at the end of the day. Another aspect is the amount of processing. The more the processing, the more will be the cost of the food product. That is the reason why fresh foods can cost you less, whereas canned foods can definitely cost you more. These are some of the aspects that you need to be considering when you are trying to do the food purchases. Food storage. Okay, next another important aspect in this is the food storage. Food storage is nothing but you keeping the foods for a longer duration of time. But once if you keep the foods for a longer duration of time, it is understood that the quality of the food is greatly reduced. That is, the nutrient quality is reduced, and as the nutrient quality is reduced, the cost also will increase because you need to procure new items. Hence, it is very much essential that proper storage facilities have to be maintained to maintain the quality of the foods, that is the nutrient quality, because as you know, if the foods are stored in dampened places, microbial contamination can occur and spoilages will occur. The foods may not be able to be used properly, and these storage facilities are divided into three different categories, that is dry storage, refrigeration storage and freezer storage. Basically, we will think that refrigeration storage and freezer storage are the same, but as we proceed in this lecture, we will see the differences between these two also. Dry storage, as you all know, is keeping the cereals, pulses and all in dry containers and leaving them in rooms which are properly ventilated. If they are not properly ventilated, again as I said, they can undergo fungal contaminations or weevils can come into them, and different types of insect infestations can also be occurring. So, the spoilage can occur. Next is we will see about the refrigeration storage. In this refrigeration storage, it is usually the temperatures are maintained between 0 to 7 degrees centigrade. That is commonly we see in our household refrigerators also, and that is the ideal temperature for storing the fruits and vegetables, because if you are storing fruits at temperatures below 0 degrees centigrade, again they can undergo shriveling and shape change and texture change also can happen. But when stored at 0 to 7 degrees centigrade, microbial contaminations can be greatly reduced because microorganisms usually do not survive at these temperatures. Along with it, enzymatic activity also can be reduced, as a result of which shelf life can be increased. Next is freezer storage. This freezer storage, we have the temperatures at minus 18 degrees centigrade or below it, wherein the foods generally are frozen and complete microbial elimination can be done at these temperatures. But here one aspect you have to remember is, once the frozen foods are taken out and thawed, thawing is also called as the defrosting, that is bringing back to the room temperature, and once they are thawed, they should not be again refrozen. The chances of microbial contamination increases to a greater extent and spoilage can happen. The same thing is said for the canned foods also. The foods, as long as they are present in the cans, remain in good condition, but if you open the cans, they have to be used immediately, otherwise spoilage of foods can happen. And here also again, when you are receiving the foods also, you should see the storekeeper should be very particular about the quantities received. Like suppose if you say it's a 100 kgs bag, it's always ideal to measure it, because sometimes the seller can send you 95 kgs and say that it is a 100 kg bag, because in that 5 kgs we will not be able to differentiate those bags, which is again a loss to the food service establishments. And also the prices stated to you and prices given in the receipts also should be checked, because sometimes there can be a change in the prices mentioned. So again, that again can cause problems to the establishment. Also another thing is, when you are arranging in your storerooms, as I said, you have to arrange in an orderly manner, so that the ones which have been purchased previously are used first. Fresh produce is used at a a later date, and prices also can be mentioned on that, so that you will know what is the cost of those particular items. That is, stamping the products is very ideal for any food service establishments. Next thing is the storekeeping. Storekeeping is like when you are leaving it in the store, there should be a good communication between the storekeeping people as well as the kitchen staff, because items should not be misinterpreted, and if you have asked for one item and another item is sent, cooking becomes difficult because there will be a time waste and customers may not be served at the correct time. So, this is also another important aspect for this. What they call is the good received book should be maintained. That is, the items that are received, if you are maintaining in a correct manner, when you are sending it out to the kitchens also, it becomes very much easier for the people. So, these are the different aspects that we have seen. Now, we will conclude with what we have learnt today. Today what did we see was, we have seen what is a menu, and followed by the importance of the menu and the different methods of purchasing these food items for any large institutions or food service establishments, and the different ways in which these items or the foods can be stored. Thank you.